Brief video to talk about what I have been reading. Currently reading Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. Lewis. Purchased from Union Ave Books, downtown Knoxville's independent bookstore. Give them a ring, make an account with them. You can get some sort of discount if you spend $150 there. I am now on my way to that discount to the tune of $10. This is one of those redesigned Penguin classics. My copy of Sanshiro that I was filming recently also exhibits this redesign. I have seen online that it was chosen to enhance readability. There used to be tiny italic text here and orange text here, and they've just fixed a legibility issue by making it all a nice white all caps thing. But this is what I've been reading lately. Let me just lay everything out. The next book to read in Soseki's trilogy was And Then. Now, I think reading this took me a couple of weeks or something like that. I've generally been quite busy lately. That isn't a complaint, but it isn't really a boast either. It's a neutral statement. There have been things to do. I read the first kind of 3/4 of it, then sort of paused, then read Transcription, because Transcription came out on like the 7th. I purchased it on the 8th at a Barnes & Noble that I had never been to before that day. And I read it the evening of the 8th and the day of the 9th. Transcription. It's got this cover with the brick version of a phone, the bricked phone. You know, people say bricked for like broken beyond repair, a totaled phone. You can see the imprint of the hand. And we know that it's the ultimate flex for an author to have no jacket copy on the back of the book. Although there is, copy on the flaps. I loved this book. I thought it was really a success. More on that later. This I also read. This is a pamphlet. See, it's a stapled pamphlet. Middle-aged man's self-portrait. Poems by Yan An. Translated by Chun Du and Sisheng Chen. And this was a cool find. I had never gotten anything from Toad Press before. I found this because I belong to that Asterism Books newsletter, or I'm on that newsletter list to see what Asterism has in stock. And there's a page in here. I tore out this page from my notebook thinking that I was gonna write notes on it on a reread, but I haven't reread the whole book yet. What I did was I rationed out these poems pretty well. I took my time getting through them. There are 12 poems in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 poems. And I enjoyed them all. The first one I read was Tunnel Warfare. Then I worked my way back to Mu'us Desert, Encountering a Herder Too Old to Have Consciousness, which was a more scary poem than Tunnel Warfare was, I think. And then there's some funny ones like Coffee Hawking Outlander and How to Transform into an Urbanite. There are these you get to these page turns where there's like 2 poems that are facing each other. And I would relish turning the page and getting to 2 new poems. These last 2 poems are are multi-page poems like Tunnel Warfare. The poet is good. The poet just it's understandable it's accessible yet very poetic poetry. It's dazzling poetry too. It's occasionally gruesome and sad, but it's often just very very imaginative, dreamlike, beautiful. I'm not doing it justice. It's got these little gaps in it, which I think are nice. I don't use anything like that, but I enjoyed those. See, these are those ending poems that occupy 2 pages. I don't really know what to say other than that I loved this. I really enjoyed watching the light kind of play off the ink on the cover. I enjoyed the long list of other titles from Toad Press, from Toad Books, Toad Press International Chapbook Series. I noticed that the first one was this Tristan Tzara. That's a name I've heard before. So that was one thing I read. After reading Transcription, I finished And Then, and the portion of And Then that I had in reserve to read this last fourth really rocked me. And I could say much more about that. But the term that I keep using in texts to friends is brutal. Like, it was just brutal, but in a good way. You know, brutal like a personal matter or something. A book where the author's courage in just sort of depicting it and just following everything through gives you this kind of bracing breath of fresh air feeling in your body, where you're looking at something scary and you're not dying or really being hurt by it, you're just observing it, and a bunch of breath comes in. You feel this influx of breath. Then I reread an episode in the life of a landscape painter. It had been years since I'd last read it, and I loved it. It felt like the book was kind of in three parts. There's like the first part, which is the Borgesian poetry of the intro to everything. The second part, which is the defining events of the episode, I'll say. And then the last third is like Aira core, making poetry out of what Aira sees and the consequences to those defining moments in the episode. And my book has these little kind of like, you know how like the paper kind of, I don't know if you can see it, but the plastic kind of comes up off the paper. You know, I used to hate when that happened, but now I just view it as a normal part of life. I had previously read the book and underlined in black ink. On this read, I underlined with a straight edge in blue ink and in pencil. And I read this book with a smile on my face. And it's 80 pages, and I've loaned it to friends before, and I think the friends have enjoyed it. You know, they've enjoyed this book more than they've enjoyed like all of the John Ashbery books I've been thrusting in front of their faces all these years, you know. That was really good, and so that's what I read. I didn't anticipate. I said that things have been busy and a lot has been happening, and I did not anticipate having any time to read, but somehow I was able to carve out some time, and these are the things I read. Everything you see before you here is recommended. I may linger more on some of these books later and try to give more thoughts at length, but this one is too visceral and experienced for me to really like take apart. Soseki's the best argument for a novel because the only thing you can say, your only thought to have about it is just memories of the experience that the novel created in your head. It's just irreducible, you know? And then this one needs a reread. It's I don't think it's giving too much away to say that it kind of feels circular. It feels like a circular book, and once you've completed the circuit in your mind, everything is kind of chiming together, and the electricity is flowing, and I need to kind of spend some more time in that flow state, you might say. This one is just pure pleasure. This one is a real find, I think. I think this middle-aged man's self-portrait. I didn't really know about Toad Press. You may not know about Toad Press. If you like funny poems, if you like delicate but accessible language that isn't pretentious and doesn't condescend, you know, just the good tone. I mean, these are words I always use in this channel, but there are certain people you'll read who will achieve a tone that you envy because you know it's so useful. You could explain your dreams with it. You can delight people by reciting, using that voice, reciting things written in that voice. This book, it has lots of examples of poems that have just that kind of voice. More soon, just a quick dispatch about recent reads. All right, y'all.